Hello, and welcome to this first part of the video series for video lecture series for Chapter 7. As usual with these, I'm just going to discuss the objectives this time and then dive in to the content in subsequent videos. This is going to be a little bit shorter than most of them. I only have what looks like 9 videos in this series. Some of these are going to be a little bit longer, say 6 or 8 slides rather than my usual 2 or 3, but still the whole thing should be a little bit shorter than some of the ones I've done recently. So let's talk about what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be essentially we're going to be talking about working with VMware vSphere. You might the VMware vSphere is another way of referring to the ESXi host. We're going to talk about the vSphere versions and how they fit into the VMware ecosystem and the VMware family of products, the differences between the free and the licensed version. There are free versions of ESXi host. They are not feature complete without that license key. The truth is, the code is the same. It is the license key that unlocks some of those more advanced features. We're going to talk about installing and configuring those vSphere components, including the ESXi hypervisor and the vSphere client and your virtual machine consoles. We're going to talk about creating and configuring virtual switches. Of course, virtual networking is a major component of all of this. We're going to talk about configuring storage options, restoring data store backups, creating and configuring virtual machines, and managing them, and managing our ESXi hosts. All of this is foundational to what we'll do next week with vCenter. Now, one thing to note right off the bat is if you go to VMware.com or on the hub, if you go looking for a vSphere client, you will not find one because the latest versions of ESXi and vSphere don't support the ESXi client. What we'll be working with is essentially vSphere 6. vSphere is now up to 6.7. So if things look a little bit different in some of the demonstrations that I do with the platform I've got on this system, these demos might look a little bit different from the demos I might do based on what's in Mindcap. So be aware that some of these things we for older legacy implementations, you might still see the vSphere client. You can actually, I think in some cases, you can almost use the VMware Workstation to tie into an ESXi host. But don't be surprised if some of this stuff is going away as the technology evolves. One of the things we'll talk about in a little bit, maybe in a subsequent video, is just the various different GUIs that you can use with ESXi, with VMware. You've got your player and workstation and the DCUI and the web client. The web client, which we talk about but don't use in Chapter 7, is the only way to do things now. If you've worked with one of our ESXi host systems on campus, you may already have used it. Because there are things that you could do in the vSphere in the web client that you couldn't do in the vSphere client, and there were also some look and feel and some user experience differences there. So that's what we're going to talk about. My next video is going to be planning and installation. So thanks for watching, and hopefully this helped.